Hey guys, so this is the fan we're supposed to be installing. I've already installed it, but we're going to go through the steps right now so you know exactly how to do it. Alright guys, so this is the fan we're going to be replacing with itself because I actually already put it on. I wanted to put the thermal paste on a little bit better. You're going to need a couple things for this. The first thing you're going to need is a towel to wipe off the CPU. And then you'll need a screwdriver, just one size. I would say the normal, like the normal nails, or I'm sorry, screw size will do it. This is a magnetic one, so, and it's just a little bit longer, easier to get things done with that. You're gonna need this plate, but actually not, because I found out that this plate is not doesn't fit my motherboard, because this fan is only meant for Intel and AMD 3 Plus, and I have AMD4 or AM4 I believe it's called, but it's by AMD because that's what Ryzen is. So the base plate I have is actually like perfect for my motherboard and fits this thing perfectly. So you're gonna need these little screws. If you have the Intel board, you just screw them into the back, and I'll show you that part. You're gonna need some thermal paste, some kind of thing to make sure that it's actually making good contact with the CPU, and also you don't really want direct contact because that kind of burns it. This will tighten the screws that you have to screw on more than they can, because they're not based on an actual like screw thing. So you just slide this over the top, and I believe the last thing you'll need is some alcohol. So once you've got all your stuff, we're just gonna take the fan off because it's easier to work with this thing without the fan on, and I would say that's how most CPU fans are installed anyway. Just gotta take it off, which I'm just trying to be careful not to bend any of the fins, because I don't think it looks good, and also I'm sure it messes things up. Just a little 3-pin connector if you were wondering. I know it's hard to see. Take your screwdriver, and there's 4 bolts. You're going to do it in a crisscross pattern, so I'm going to start at the top and then go down to the bottom left. Or I'm sorry, that's the bottom in your guys' way. And do the top right. Take that off. You just want to, you don't want to do too much. Just get a little bit at a time. Once you have that, then you just screw it a little bit more. There's most likely going to be a plate that falls out of the bottom of your motherboard, because that's how most of them work. They're attached by like a plate on the back, and that's what's holding it to the motherboard. It's not just like screwed into it, it's like screwed through it, if that makes sense. One thing I would say is to probably not wait until your computer is completely cold. Kind of have it, you may want to run a few things to have the thermal paste a little bit warmer, because it was kind of sticking. But that's good. That also means I had good connectivity, but you can also see that it's kind of all in the middle, because all I did was a dot, because that's like the method that most people seem to enjoy. But I actually decided to, for this, I decided to do the method of moving it all around and kind of covering the whole thing before you put it on, and it seems to be working better. So you just keep rubbing this with alcohol. I'm just using paper towels right now because I'm getting like the most, like the grease or like the thermal paste off, whichever one you're using. And then I'm going to use the microfiber to make sure it's like really good and there's no like particles and whatnot, because you don't want the CPU fan to have like paper in there, because then it could catch on fire. Just checking to make sure that it looks really good here. So this is the back plate. This is what I was talking about before, and you just press it into here, and my motherboard came with this specialized one that seems to do the entire like job of the nuts and the bolts. Here are the things on the back that go in the front, and they're just like square. There you can see it, or not square there. Let's see, what would that be? Hexagon. And you just screw those into the front. Just hand screw them in, and you see it going up there in the top left. And I'm screwing the one in the bottom in now. Do this in the same crisscross pattern, just to do the least amount of stress on your motherboard. And there's the front, what I just screwed into there, and you just use this little part right here because it's not going to be screwed all the way in. But as far as I know, there's not like a screw that, or a screwdriver that screws things like that in. So it comes with this little, I don't know what you want to call it, little cap, and you just screw it in. Just make sure. The thing that I was doing was I was actually like lifting it up because there was still a little bit of room. And once you've got that, you can grab your thermal paste, or you could do the thermal paste first, but I just didn't want to be messy. This is kind of preferred order as far as right now. So I just was putting a decent amount in the middle, trying to put a little bit more. Moving around with your fingers, not so great. I couldn't find the thing that I was trying to use before, so I just started using this little piece of something I had. It's not paper though, and I was just trying to move it all around. It's kind of hard to tell from this angle, but I was also trying to make it as even as possible over like the entire thing. And then once you have a good amount of it covered, you're just going to take this. So this is the heatsink, and you're just going to try to place that down as center as you can. Push it down a little bit so you know it made good contact. And you can kind of feel it as well. If it's like bunching up in one place, try to kind of push it down. There's not really a best way in my mind that you can keep it there except for holding it. So you just kind of got to hold it in place as best as you can. And once you do that, you're going to start doing the same process that you did before, is screwing it in, or unscrewing it, I'm sorry. And you're not going to do like a lot. I'm just doing enough. It's kind of hard to tell because these are on springs, but I'm not doing as much as you think, because as you can see, I still had to do it a bunch to actually get them all the way down. So you just, screw them all in. You're pretty much done at this point. You're in the home stretch. If you've made it to this point, it's pretty hard to mess up from now. Alright, so you got to think about your fan orientation. My CPU and most CPUs have the CPU fan at the top, like the 3-pin connector. So just think about what's going to be the easiest path and also not in the way of other things, or just if you're all about aesthetics, don't want to be in the way of that. So I would recommend plugging it in first, just so you know that it's going to fit correctly on there, and you're not like putting it on and then realizing, oh crap, I put this on upside down backwards, because it happens to the best of us. So you're just gonna kind of push one side on to get the other side. Some have hooks. They're a little bit easy. Some have like these metal hooks that are a little bit easier to put on than this plastic thing, but it works just as well. It's just a little bit harder. I mean, only adults should really be messing with computers like this. So, I mean, even if you're younger, I'm sure you can. Just be careful. Hey guys, so this is my computer with the fan installed, and I thought you guys would just enjoy seeing it all together and me here. So don't forget to click like, subscribe, whatever you're feeling, comment so I know what you want to see. I don't know. There was a